Duncan Brannan is an American voice actor who has provided voices for numerous mainstream children's entertainment characters, English language dubs of Japanese anime, and other commercial properties. He is mainly known for being the voice of Chuck E. Cheese from 1994 to 2012. Brannan was the voice of Chuck E. Cheese in restaurant chains across the U.S., as well as his English and Spanish voice in national commercials seen on PBS, Nickelodeon, and other places from January 1994 to April 2012. He was replaced by musician and singer Jarrett Reddick when Chuck E. Cheese's revamped their image. Brannan is also known for his work on the children's TV series Barney and Friends from 1997 to 2002, providing Barney's character and singing voice for home video releases, his singing voice for the PBS series following Bob West's, who's also done voices of Chuck E. Cheese characters, departure, fill-in, and replacement, as well as Barney's voice for numerous public relations spots on radio and television and merchandise from plush toys to games, compact discs, and more. Ironically, Chuck E. Cheese was a sponsor to Barney and Friends at the time, as well as other PBS programs such as Arthur and Clifford the Big Red Dog. Brannan has also voiced commercials and industrials for secular and religious markets. Some of his most notable credits are Taco Bueno, Martha Stewart, Just Breaks, the Department of Defense, Brinkers International for Chili's, Maggiano's on the Border, and Romano's Macaroni Grill, Methodist Health Systems, Leslie's Pool Supplies, Cambion Voyager, New Horizons, Zopper Now, K. Hovnanian Homes, First United Bank, Campus Crusade for Christ, Chuck Swindle, Lone Star College System, Parkland Health and Hospital Systems, JPI Realtors, Eddie Eagle and the Wing Team, Opertron 5000, and Funimation Incorporated. Outside of voice acting, Brannan also works as a writer, artist, consultant, and pastor. Personal life. He currently resides in Fort Worth, Texas with his wife Ralina Lynn Gregg, whom he married on January 2, 1993. Together they have two daughters, Kadra and Carliza Brannan. Taylor Allison Swift, born December 13, 1989, is an American singer-songwriter. An influential figure in popular culture, she is known for her autobiographical songwriting and artistic reinventions. Swift is the highest-grossing live music artist, the wealthiest female musician, and one of the best-selling music artists of all time. Swift signed with Big Machine Records in 2005 and debuted as a country singer with the albums Taylor Swift 2006 and Fearless 2008. The singles Teardrops on My Guitar, Love Story, and You Belong With Me found crossover success on country and pop radio formats. Speak Now 2010 expanded her country pop sound with rock influences, and Red 2012 featured a pop-friendly production. Swift recalibrated her artistic identity from country to pop with the synth-pop album 1989-2014. Ensuing media scrutiny inspired the hip-hop-imbued Reputation 2017. Through the 2010s, she accumulated the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 #1 singles We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, Shake It Off, Blank Space, Bad Blood, and Look What You Made Me Do. Shifting to Republic Records in 2018, Swift released the eclectic pop album Lover 2019 and re-recorded 4 of her first 6 albums due to a dispute with Big Machine. She ventured into indie folk with the 2020 albums Folklore and Evermore, returned to synth pop on Midnight's 2022, and the Tortured Poets Department 2024, and incorporated soft rock into the Life of a Showgirl 2025. The songs Cardigan Willow, All Too Well, Taylor's version Anti-Hero, Cruel Summer Is It Over Now, Fortnite, and The Fate of Ophelia topped the Hot 100. Her Eras Tour 2023 to 2024 is the first concert tour to gross $1 billion, and its associated film, Taylor Swift: The Eras Tour 2023, became the highest-grossing concert film in history. Swift is the only artist to have been named the IFPI Global Recording Artist of the Year 5 times. A record 8 of her albums have each sold over 1 million copies first week in the U.S. Publications such as Rolling Stone and Billboard have ranked Swift among the greatest artists of all time. She is the first individual from the arts to be named Time Person of the Year 2023. Her accolades include 14 Grammy Awards, including a record 4 Album of the Year wins and a Primetime Emmy Award. Swift is the most awarded artist of the American Music Awards, the Billboard Music Awards, and the MTV Video Music Awards. A subject of extensive media coverage, she has a global fan base known as Swifties. Early life. Taylor Allison Swift was born on December 13, 1989, in West Reading, Pennsylvania. She is named after the singer-songwriter James Taylor. Her parents chose a unisex name, hoping it would help her succeed in business. Her father, Scott Kingsley Swift, was a stockbroker for Merrill Lynch, and her mother, Andrea Gardner Swift, née Finley, worked as a mutual fund marketing executive. Swift's younger brother, Austin, is an actor. The siblings are of Scottish English and German descent, with distant Italian and Irish ancestry. Their maternal grandmother, Marjorie Finley née Molenkamp, was an opera singer whose singing in church became one of Swift's earliest memories of music. During childhood, Swift spent her holiday seasons on a Christmas tree farm in Pennsylvania and summers at her family's vacation home in Stone Harbor, New Jersey, where she occasionally performed acoustic songs at a local coffee shop. Raised Christian, she attended preschool and kindergarten at a Montessori school run by the Bernardine Sisters of St. Francis before transferring to the Wincroft School in Pottstown. When her family moved to Wyomissing, she attended Wyomissing Area Junior/Senior High School. At age 9, she aspired to a career in musical theater, performing at local festivals and in Berks Youth Theater Academy productions, and traveling regularly to New York City for vocal and acting lessons. After watching a documentary about Faith Hill, she changed her goal and became determined to pursue a country music career in Nashville, Tennessee. At the age of 11, Swift traveled to Nashville with her mother to visit record labels and submit demo tapes of Dolly Parton and Dixie Chicks karaoke covers. She was rejected by all the labels, which led her to focus on songwriting. She started learning the guitar at the age of 12 with the help of a computer repairman and local musician who assisted Swift with writing an original song. In 2003, she and her parents started working with the talent manager Dan Dimtrell. With his help, Swift, model for Abercrombie & Fitch, had an original song included on a Maybelline compilation CD, and was given an artist development deal from RCA Records at 13. To help Swift break into the country music scene, her father transferred to Merrill Lynch's Nashville office when she was 14 years old, and the family relocated to Hendersonville, Tennessee. Swift attended Hendersonville High School for 2 years before transferring to Aaron Academy, which offered homeschooling. Swift promoting her debut album in 2007. Swift signed to Sony 8TV Tree Music Publishing in 2004. At 14, she became the youngest person in that publishing company's history. In Nashville, she worked with experienced Music Row songwriters, including Liz Rose. Rose and Swift would write songs every Tuesday afternoon after school. After 1 year on the development deal, she left RCA Records, who decided to keep her in development until she turned 18. Swift made this decision because she wanted to release the songs immediately to make sure that they still resonated with her teenage experiences. Swift organized a showcase concert at Bluebird Cafe on November 3, 2004. Among the attendees were Scott Borchetta, a music executive who was planning to establish an independent record label, Big Machine Records. She signed a recording contract with Big Machine 2 weeks after the concert on the condition that her albums would be written by herself. Her father purchased a 3% stake in the company. The contract was finalized by July 2005 when Swift ended the working relationship with Dimtrell. She spent 4 months near the end of 2005 recording her debut album, Taylor Swift, with the producer Nathan Chapman. Swift's debut single Tim McGraw was released in June 2006. She and her mother spent mid-2006 sending promotional copies of the song to country radio stations across the U.S. Taylor Swift was released on October 24, 2006. On the U.S. Billboard 200 chart, the album peaked at number 5, and was on the chart for 157 weeks, the longest chart run by an album in the 2000s. With Taylor Swift, she became the first female country music artist to write or co-write every track on a platinum-certified debut album. The album was promoted by a 6-month radio tour and Swift's opening for other country artists, including Rascal Flatts in 2006, and George Strait, Brad Paisley and Tim McGraw and Faith Hill in 2007. She opened for Rascal Flatts again in 2008 when she dated the singer Joe Jonas. Taylor Swift was supported by 4 more singles in 2007 and 2008: Teardrops on My Guitar, Our Song, Picture to Burn, and Should Have Said No. Our Song and Should Have Said No reached number 1 on the Hot Country Songs chart. With the former single, Swift became the youngest person to single-handedly write and sing a number 1 country single. Teardrops on My Guitar was Swift's breakthrough single on mainstream radio and charts, reaching the top 10 of the pop songs, adult pop songs, and adult contemporary charts. Her next releases were the Christmas Extended Play EP, the Taylor Swift Holiday Collection in October 2007, and the Walmart-exclusive EP Beautiful Eyes in July 2008. Swift became the youngest person to be awarded with Nashville Songwriters Association's Songwriter/Artist of the Year in 2007. 2008 to 2010. Fearless. She had a cameo appearance in the film and wrote 2 songs for its soundtrack. Swift's second album, Fearless, was released on November 11, 2008 in North America, and in March 2009 in other markets. Fearless spent 11 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard 200, becoming her first chart topper, and the longest-running number 1 female country album. It was the best-selling album of 2009 in the U.S. The album's lead single, Love Story, became the first country song to top the pop songs chart, and its third single, You Belong With Me, was the first country song to top Billboard's all-genre radio songs chart. Both reached the top 5 of the Billboard Hot 100 chart and peaked atop the Hot Country Songs chart. 3 other singles, White Horse, 15, Fearless, all reached the top 10 of Hot Country Songs. In 2009, Swift opened for Keith Urban's tour and embarked on her first headlining tour, the Fearless Tour. Fearless became the most awarded country album of all time. It won the 3 highest awards for a country album: Album of the Year by both the Country Music Association Awards and Academy of Country Music Awards in 2009, and Best Country Album by the Grammy Awards in 2010. At the Grammys, it also won Album of the Year, and White Horse won Best Country Song and Best Female Country Vocal Performance. Also in 2009, Swift was named Artist of the Year by both the American Music Awards and Billboard, and Entertainer of the Year by the Country Music Association Awards, becoming the youngest person to win the honor. You Belong With Me won Best Female Video at the MTV Video Music Awards. Her acceptance speech was interrupted by the rapper Kanye West, an incident that became the subject of controversy and widespread media coverage. Swift collaborated with other musicians in 2009. She featured on Half of My Heart by John Mayer, with whom she was romantically linked later that year. She wrote Best Days of Your Life for Kelly Pickler, co-wrote and featured on Boys Like Girls 2 Is Better Than One, and wrote and recorded You'll Always Find Your Way Back Home and Crazier for the soundtrack of Hannah Montana, the movie, in which she had a cameo appearance. She had her acting debut in the 2010 rom-com Valentine's Day and wrote Today Was a Fairy Tale for its soundtrack. Today Was a Fairy Tale reached number 1 on the Canadian Hot 100. While shooting Valentine's Day in October 2009, Swift dated co-star Taylor Lautner. On television, she made her debut as a rebellious teenager in a CSI crime scene investigation episode and hosted and performed as the musical guest on Saturday Night Live. She was the first host to write their own opening monologue. 2010 to 2014. Speak Now and Red. Swift wrote her third album, Speak Now, entirely by herself. Released on October 25, 2010, Speak Now expands on the country pop sound of Fearless and incorporates strong rock music influences. Speak Now debuted atop the U.S. Billboard 200 with over 1 million first-week copies sold, registering the highest single-week tally for a female country artist. 5 of its singles, Mine, Back to December, Mean, Sparks Fly, and Hours, charted in the top 3 of Hot Country Songs. Sparks Fly and Hours reached number 1. Mine peaked at number 3 and was the highest charting single on the Billboard Hot 100. Swift embarked on the Speak Now World Tour from February 2011 to March 2012. In 2011, Swift was honored as Woman of the Year by Billboard, Entertainer of the Year by both the Academy of Country Music Awards and the Country Music Association Awards, and Artist of the Year at the American Music Awards. She again won Entertainment of the Year by the Academy of Country Music Awards in 2012. At the 54th Annual Grammy Awards in 2012, Mean won Best Country Song and Best Country Solo Performance. After Speak Now's release, Swift dated the actor Jake Gyllenhaal. On October 22, 2012, Swift released her fourth album, Red, which featured collaborations with Chapman and new producers including Max Martin, Shellback, Dan Wilson, Jeff Bosker, Dan Huff, and Butch Walker. Conceived as a record that expanded beyond Swift's country pop releases, Red incorporates eclectic styles of pop and rock such as Brit rock, dubstep, and dance pop, leading to a critical debate over Swift's status as a country musician. The album opened at number 1 on the Billboard 200 with 1.21 million sales, becoming the fastest-selling country album in U.S. history. It was Swift's first number 1 album in the UK. During promotion of Red, Swift was romantically involved with the political heir Connor Kennedy, and subsequently the singer Harry Styles. The two most successful singles from Red, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, and I Knew You Were Trouble, peaked at numbers 1 and 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. Both of them also reached the top 5 on the UK singles chart, and the former was Swift's first chart topper in the US. Two other singles, Begin Again and Red, peaked in the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100, while two others, Everything Has Changed and 22 Inches, reached the top 10 on the UK singles chart. The Red Tour ran from March 2013 to June 2014 and became the highest-grossing country tour with revenue of $150.2 million upon completion. Swift was named Artist of the Year at the American Music Awards in 2013. Swift wrote and recorded 2 songs for the soundtrack album to the 2012 dystopian film The Hunger Games: Eyes Open and Safe and Sound. The latter, which was co-written with the Civil Wars and T-Bone Burnett, won the Grammy Award for Best Song Written for Visual Media in 2013. She wrote and recorded Sweeter Than Fiction for the soundtrack to the 2013 biographical film One Chance and featured as a guest vocalist on B.O.B.'s 2012 single Both of Us and Tim McGraw's 2013 single Highway Don't Care. Her acting roles included a voice acting role in the 2012 animated film The Lorax, a cameo in a 2013 episode of the sitcom New Girl, and a supporting role in the 2014 dystopian film The Giver. 1989 and Reputation. Swift relocated from Nashville to New York City in March 2014 and transformed her image from country to pop with her fifth album, 1989. She produced 1989 with Martin Shellback Chapman and new collaborators Jack Antonoff, Imogen Heap, Ryan Tedder, and Ali Payami. Rooted in 1980s synth pop, 1989 incorporates upbeat dance and electronic arrangements of synthesizers, drum machines, and processed vocals. Released on October 27, 2014, the album spent 11 weeks at number 1 and 1 year in the top 10 of the Billboard 200. It has sold 14 million copies worldwide, becoming Swift's best-selling album. Swift on the 1989 World Tour, the highest-grossing tour of 2015. 3 of 1989's singles Shake It Off, Blank Space, and Bad Blood reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The first 2 made Swift the first woman to replace herself at the top spot. 2 other singles, Style and Wildest Dreams, peaked at numbers 6 and 5, making 1989 the first album by Swift to have 5 consecutive top 10 singles on the Hot 100. The 1989 World Tour was the highest-grossing tour of 2015 with $250 million in revenue. She was named Billboard's Woman of the Year and received the inaugural Dick Clark Award for Excellence at the American Music Awards in 2014, and Bad Blood won Video of the Year and Best Collaboration at the 2015 MTV Video Music Awards. At the 58th Annual Grammy Awards in 2016, 1989 made Swift the first woman to win Album of the Year twice. It also won Best Pop Vocal Album, and Bad Blood won Best Music Video. During promotion of 1989, Swift publicly opposed free music streaming services. She published an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal in July 2014 to stress the importance of albums as a creative medium for artists, and in November removed her discography from ad-supported, free streaming platforms such as Spotify. Big Machine kept her music only on paid subscription-required platforms. In a June 2015 open letter, Swift criticized Apple Music for not offering royalties to artists during its free 3-month trial period and threatened to withdraw her music from the platform, which prompted Apple Incorporated to announce that it would pay artists during the free trial period. Big Machine returned Swift's catalog to Spotify and other free streaming platforms in June 2017. Swift dated the DJ Calvin Harris from March 2015 to June 2016. They co-wrote the EDM single This Is What You Came For, which featured vocals from Rihanna. Swift was initially credited under the pseudonym Neil Stjoberg. Better Man, the 2016 single which Swift wrote for the country vocal group Little Big Town, won the Country Music Association Award for Song of the Year. She recorded I Don't Wanna Live Forever with Zayn Malik for the soundtrack to the 2017 film 50 Shades Darker. The song became the highest charting single from the 50 Shades franchise on the Billboard Hot 100, peaking at number 2. In April 2016, Kanye West released the single Famous, in which he references Swift in the line, I made that bitch famous. Swift criticized West and said she never consented to the lyric, but West claimed that he had received her approval, and his then-wife, Kim Kardashian, released video clips of Swift and West discussing the song amicably over the phone. Although the clips were proven to be purposefully edited, the controversy made Swift a subject of an online cancel movement, where her critics denounced her as a fake and calculating snake. In late 2016, after briefly dating the actor Tom Hiddleston, Swift began a 6-year relationship with the actor Joe Alwyn and underwent a hiatus. In August 2017, Swift countersued and won a case against David Muller, a former radio jockey for KYGO-FM who sued her for damages from loss of employment. 4 years earlier, she informed Mueller's employer that he had sexually assaulted her by groping her at an event. The public controversies influenced Swift's sixth album Reputation, which explores themes of fame, drama, and finding love amidst the tumultuous affairs. A primarily electropop album, its maximalist production experiments with urban styles of hip-hop and R&B. Released on November 10, 2017, Reputation opened atop the Billboard 200 with 1.21 million US sales and also reached number 1 in Australia, Canada, and the UK. Reputation's lead single, Look What You Made Me Do, topped the Billboard Hot 100 with the highest sales and streaming week of 2017, and was Swift's first UK number 1 single. The singles, Ready for It, Endgame and Delicate were released to pop radio, all of which were in the top 20 positions on the Billboard Hot 100. In 2018, Swift featured on Superman's Babe surpassed Whitney Houston as the most awarded female musician at the American Music Awards and embarked on the Reputation Stadium Tour, which grossed $345.7 million worldwide. 2018 to 2021. Lover, Folklore, and Evermore. In November 2018, Swift signed a record deal with Universal Music Group, which promoted her albums under Republic Records imprint. The contract included a provision for Swift to maintain ownership of her masters. In addition, in the event that Universal sold any part of its stake in Spotify, it agreed to distribute a non-recoupable portion of the proceeds among its artists. Swift at the American Music Awards of 2019, where she was named Artist of the Decade. Swift's first album with Republic Records and 7th overall, Lover, was released on August 23, 2019. She produced the album with Antonoff, Louis Bell, Frank Dukes, and Joel Little. Lover peaked atop the charts of such countries as Australia, Canada, Ireland, Mexico, Norway, Sweden, the UK, and the US, and was the global best-selling album by a solo artist of 2019. 3 of its singles, Me, You Need to Calm Down, and Lover, were released in 2019 and peaked in the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100. The Man was released in 2020 and charted highly, and Cruel Summer became a resurgent success in 2023, reaching number 1. In 2019, Swift was honored as Artist of the Decade by the American Music Awards and Woman of the Decade by Billboard, and became the first female artist to win Video of the Year for a self-directed video with You Need to Calm Down at the MTV Video Music Awards. During promotion of Lover, Swift became embroiled in a public dispute with the talent manager Scooter Braun after he purchased Big Machine Records, including the masters of her albums under the label. Swift said that Big Machine would allow her to acquire the masters only if she exchanged one new album for each older one under a new contract, which she refused to sign. In November 2020, Swift began re-recording her back catalog, which would enable her to control the licensing of her songs for commercial use. In February 2020, Swift signed a global publishing deal with Universal Music Publishing Group after her 16-year contract with Sony 8 TV expired. Amidst the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, Swift surprise released two sister albums that she recorded and produced with Antonoff and Aaron Dessner, Folklore on July 24th and Evermore on December 11th. Joe Alwyn co-wrote and co-produced several songs under the pseudonym William Bowery. Both albums incorporate muted, atmospheric indie folk and indie rock sounds with orchestrations. Each was supported by 3 singles catering to U.S. pop, country, and AAA radio formats. The singles were Cardigan, Betty and Exile from Folklore, and Willow, No Body, No Crime, and Coney Island from Evermore. Folklore and Cardigan made Swift the first artist to debut a #1 album and a #1 song in the same week in the U.S. She achieved the feat again with Evermore and Willow. Swift won Artist of the Year at the American Music Awards in 2020 and Album of the Year for Folklore at the 63rd Annual Grammy Awards in 2021. Becoming the first woman to win the Grammy Award for Album of the Year 3 times. She played Bumblerina in the film adaptation of Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical Cats 2019, for which she co-wrote and recorded the original song Beautiful Ghosts. The documentary Miss Americana, which chronicled parts of Swift's life and career, premiered at the 2020 Sundance Film Festival and received positive reviews. 2021 to 2023. Re-recordings and midnights. Swift performing in 2022. Swift released 2 re-recorded albums in 2021: Fearless, Taylor's version in April, and Red, Taylor's version in November. Both peaked atop the Billboard 200, and the former was the first re-recorded album to do so. The latter helped Swift surpass Shania Twain as the female musician with the most weeks at #1 on the top country albums chart. The song All Too Well, Taylor's version from Red, Taylor's version, became the longest song in history to top the Billboard Hot 100. Swift's 10th album, Midnights, was released on October 21, 2022. The album features a minimalist electropop and synth-pop sound, with elements of hip-hop, R&B, and electronica. Midnights was Swift's 5th album to open atop the Billboard 200 chart with U.S. first-week sales of 1 million. Its tracks, led by the single Anti-Hero, made her the first artist to occupy the entire top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100 the same week. The album peaked atop the charts of at least 14 other countries, including Australia, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Norway, and Sweden. 2 other singles, Lavender Haze and Karma, both peaked at #2 on the Billboard Hot 100. In 2023, Swift released 2 re-recorded albums: Speak Now, Taylor's version in July, and 1989, Taylor's version in October. The former made Swift the woman with the most #1 albums, 12 in Billboard 200 history, surpassing Barbra Streisand, and the latter was her 6th album to sell 1 million U.S. first-week copies. The single Is It Over Now, from 1989, Taylor's version, peaked at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Swift featured on Big Red Machine's Renegade and Birch 2021, Haim's Gasoline 2021, Ed Sheeran's The Joker and the Queen 2022, and The National's The Outcast 2023. She wrote and recorded Carolina for the soundtrack of the 2022 mystery film Where the Crawdads Sing, and had a supporting role in the 2022 period comedy film Amsterdam. In 2022, Swift won Artist of the Year at the American Music Awards and Video of the Year for All Too Well, the short film, her self-directed short film that accompanies All Too Well 10-minute version at the MTV Video Music Awards. All Too Well also won the Grammy Award for Best Music Video. The following year she again won the MTV Video Music Award for Video of the Year with Anti-Hero, became the first musician to rank at #1 on Billboard's year-end top artists list in 3 different decades, 2009, 2015, and 2023, and had 5 out of the 10 best-selling albums of the year in the U.S., a record since Luminate began tracking U.S. music sales in 1991. At the 66th Annual Grammy Awards in 2024, Midnights made Swift the first artist to win Album of the Year 4 times. It also won Best Pop Vocal Album 2023 to present The Eras Tour, The Tortured Poets Department, and The Life of a Showgirl. Swift on the Eras Tour in 2023. In March 2023, Swift embarked on the Eras Tour, which she conceived as a tribute to her entire discography. The tour spanned 5 continents through December 2024. It exerted a global cultural, economic, and political impact and culminated in an unprecedented height of popularity for Swift, resulting in a phenomenon that the media dubbed Swiftmania. The Eras Tour became the first tour to gross $1 billion in revenue and the highest grossing tour in history with $2 billion in total revenue. Its concert film grossed $250 million to become the highest grossing of its kind, and its photobook sold nearly 1 million copies in its first week in the U.S. The tour inspired Swift's 11th and 12th albums, The Tortured Poets Department 2024, and The Life of a Showgirl 2025. During the run of the Eras Tour, there were controversies surrounding Ticketmaster's monopoly that led to political scrutiny in the U.S., venue mismanagement that led to a death in Brazil, and Singapore's exclusivity deal that led to political tension in Southeast Asia. In January 2024, AI-generated pornographic images portraying Swift were posted to Twitter and spread to other social media platforms, spurring criticism and demands for legal reform. In July 2024, 3 children were killed in a stabbing attack at a Swift-themed workshop in Southport, England, leading to civil unrest in the UK. The following month, the Vienna concerts were cancelled following the arrest of suspects who planned a terrorist attack. The Tortured Poets Department was released on April 19, 2024. The same day it was expanded as a double album, subtitled The Anthology. It became the first album to accumulate 1 billion streams on Spotify within 1 week and top charts of various countries including Australia, Canada, France, Germany, and the UK. In the US, the Tortured Poets Department debuted atop the Billboard 200 with 2.6 million first-week units and stayed at number 1 for 17 weeks, becoming Swift's longest-running chart-topping album. The album was the global best-seller of 2024 with 5.6 million pure copies sold. Its songs made her the first artist to monopolize the top 14 positions of the Billboard Hot 100 the same week. The lead single Fortnight peaked atop the chart, while the second single, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, peaked at number 3. On May 30, 2025, Swift finalized the purchase of the masters to her first 6 original albums from Shamrock Holdings, which had acquired them from Braun in 2020. Swift began dating football tight end Travis Kelce in 2023, with the media dubbing them a super couple. They became engaged in August 2025. She introduced her next album, The Life of a Showgirl, on his podcast New Heights that month. It was released on October 3, 2025, accompanied by the promotional film Taylor Swift: The Official Release Party of a Showgirl, which topped the U.S. box office and grossed over $50 million worldwide. The Life of a Showgirl debuted atop the Billboard 200 with 4 million first-week units, 3.4 million of which were pure sales, breaking the records for the biggest debut or sales week for any album in the U.S. The album's tracks occupied the Billboard Hot 100's top 12 spots, with the lead single, The Fate of Ophelia, at number 1. Artistry. Musical styles. With continuous musical reinventions, Swift was described as a musical chameleon by publications such as Time and the BBC. Her discography mainly spans styles of pop, country and folk, specifically country pop, pop rock, and synth pop with elements of alternative electronica, indie pop, hip hop, R&B, and rock. She self-identified as a country musician with her first 4 albums, from Taylor Swift to Red. Her influences were female country artists of the 1990s such as Shania Twain, Faith Hill, LeAnn Rimes, the Dixie Chicks, and Keith Urban's country crossover sound with elements of rock, pop, and blues. The albums feature a country pop sound defined by instruments such as 6-string banjo, mandolin, fiddle, a slight twang in Swift's vocals, and pop rock melodies. Speak Now draws on rock styles of the 1970s and 1980s such as pop rock, pop punk, and arena rock. Some critics argued that country was an indicator of Swift's songwriting rather than musical style, and accused her of causing mainstream country to stray away from its roots. After the critical debate around Red's eclectic sounds, Swift chose 1980s synth pop as a defining sound of her recalibrated artistry and image, inspired by the music of Phil Collins, Annie Lennox, Peter Gabriel, and Madonna. 1989. The first album in this direction, incorporates electronic arrangements consisting of dense synthesizers and drum machines. Swift expanded on the electronic production on her next albums. Reputation consists of hip-hop R&B, and EDM influences, maximalist arrangements of heavy bass and manipulated vocals, and an emphasis on rhythm. Lover incorporates eclectic sounds from country, pop punk, and folk rock. Midnights and the Tortured Poets Department both have a minimalist synth-pop sound characterized by analog synthesizers, sustained bass notes, and simple drum machine patterns, and The Life of a Showgirl incorporates pop and soft rock. When Swift embraced a pop identity, raucous critics regarded it as an erosion of her country songwriting authenticity, but others considered it necessary for her artistic evolution and defended her as a pioneer of poptimism. Her 2020 albums Folklore and Evermore, described by some critics as alternative, explore indie folk and rock styles. They incorporate a subtle, stripped-back soundscape with orchestrations, muted synthesizers, and drum pads. Evermore experiments with varied song structures, asymmetric time signatures, and diverse instruments. Critics deemed the indie styles a mature representation of Swift's singer-songwriter status and credited her with popularizing alternative music, although there were disagreements on this description. Our Song 2006. Swift sings with a southern accent and a light country twang in Our Song. Cardigan 2020. Swift uses her lower register in the indie folk ballad Cardigan. Lavender Haze 2022. The R&B leaning pop track Lavender Haze features Swift's falsetto vocals in the refrain. Swift possesses a mezzo-soprano vocal range, but she mostly sings in her alto range. Her pitch, dialect, and accent have undergone many changes throughout her career. Reviews of her early country albums criticized her vocals as weak and strained compared to those of other female country singers. Defenders of Swift appreciated that she refrained from correcting her pitch with auto-tune and how she prioritized intimacy and emotionality to communicate the messages of her songs with her audience, a style that critics have described as conversational. According to the critic Ann Powers, this singing style is demonstrated through Swift's attention to detail to convey an exact feeling, the subtle adjustment of words and phrases to suggest moods like doubt, hope, and intimacy. On Red in 1989, Swift's vocals are processed with electronic effects such as synthesizer tweaking, looping, and multitracking to accompany the pop production. Her voice on Reputation and Midnights incorporates hip-hop and R&B influences that result in a near-rap delivery which emphasizes rhythm and cadence over melody. She uses her lower register vocals extensively in Folklore and both her lower and upper registers in Evermore. The musicologist Alyssa Barca described her timbre in the upper register as breathy and bright, and the lower register as full and dark. Reception of Swift's vocals has been more positive since the release of Folklore. The critic Amanda Petruzek commented in 2023 that her singing became richer with stronger clarity and tone, even in live performances. Rolling Stone ranked her 102nd on their 2023 list 200 Greatest Singers of All Time. The magazine argued that her breathy timbre allows for a broad range of delivery and commented, "A decade ago, including her on this list would have been a controversial move, but recent releases like Folklore, Evermore, and Midnights officially settled the argument." For Powers, Swift's versatile vocals are a result of her evolving artistry, combining subtle interpolations of hip-hop's cadences and country crooners' relaxed timbre. Songwriting. Swift's fascination with songwriting began in her childhood. She credited her mother with igniting early interests by helping her prepare for class presentations and would make up lyrics to Disney soundtrack songs once she had run out of words singing them. In her early career, her influences were the country musicians Patsy Cline, Loretta Lynn, Tammy Wynette, and Dolly Parton, and the 1990s female singer-songwriters Melissa Etheridge, Sarah McLachlan, and Alanis Morissette. In later interviews, she listed Joni Mitchell and Pete Wentz of Fall Out Boy as additional influences and Paul McCartney, Bruce Springsteen, Emmylou Harris, and Chris Christopherson as career role models for their evolving and consistent songwriting outputs. Swift considers herself a songwriter first and foremost. She divides her lyrics into three types: quill lyrics, songs rooted in antiquated poeticism; fountain pen lyrics, based on modern and vivid storylines; and glitter gel pen lyrics, which are lively and frivolous. Using songwriting to cope with personal experiences, her songs are largely autobiographical and feature narratives that mostly revolve around love and romantic relationships. She would start writing by identifying an emotion she wanted to convey, and the story and melody would follow. Where Taylor Swift and Fearless are rooted in adolescent feelings and detail optimistic romance inspired by fairy tales, Speak Now reflects her young adulthood with newfound wisdom on real-life heartbreak. Red explores the tumult of an intense breakup, and 1989 reflects on failed relationships with a wistful perspective. Both albums incorporate lyrics that hint at sex, reflecting her personal growth. Swift described Lover as a love letter to love, inspired by her realization of love that was very real. As her career progressed, Swift wrote about self-perception and confrontation against her critics, influenced by fame, sexism, and scrutiny on her personal life by the press. This was first exhibited in Speak Now, which set the precedent for the frantic media speculations on the subjects of Swift's songs, specifically concerning her dating history. Swift considers this practice sexist. Reputation both tackles the public controversies that tarnished her wholesome image and addresses a blossoming romance with intimacy and vulnerability. Its extensive references to sex and alcohol set it apart from the youthful innocence that had informed Swift's past albums. The nocturnal ruminations addressed in Midnights encompass regrets and fantasies, informed by Swift's self-awareness of her fame. The Tortured Poets Department was conceived amidst her heightened fame brought by the Eras tour and intensely publicized love life during 2023. It explores heartbreak and other themes to extremes. Erotic desires, forbidden love, and escaping from the public spotlight. On Folklore and Evermore, Swift was inspired by escapism and romanticism to explore fictional narratives, deviating from the autobiographical songwriting that had characterized her artistry. She imposed her emotions onto imagined characters and story arcs, inspired by authors and poets of romantic and modernist literature like F. Scott Fitzgerald, Robert Frost, William Wordsworth, and Emily Dickinson, the last of whom was a distant cousin of Swift. The characters of Folklore and Evermore construct their narratives based on fragments of memory, symbolizing the nature of folk tales and oral traditions that pass through time. Swift considers her songwriting confessional, and academics have connected her style to that of confessional poetry, in that her songs reference personal events and publicize internal feelings to her audience. Critical reception of her songwriting has been largely positive, and her melodic compositions have been highlighted for optimizing the verse-chorus form with memorable bridges. Several scholars have credited her with taking the confessional singer-songwriter tradition to new heights, and she has been variedly described by journalists as a poet laureate of puberty, of romance, and of her generation. Some critics have dismissed her confessional style as material for tabloid gossip. Objection to the perceived poetic value of her songs, mostly from raucous critics, views her as a pop star using literary subtexts as a commercial ploy, with metaphors that are at times imprecise or self-indulgent. Scholars have attributed criticisms of Swift's songwriting to sexism. The musicologist Travis Stimmeling argued that whereas Swift's autobiographical authenticity conforms to country and rock standards, her detractors, mostly male, view her lyrical depictions of a young woman's experiences as trivial and unworthy of serious merit. According to the English-language academic Ryan Hibbett, this gendered criticism bars Swift from receiving full artistic credentials, as does Bob Dylan, whose reliance on romantic themes and occasional literary imprecisions are not as harshly criticized. In the view of the literary critic Stephanie Burt, although Swift's writing is not poetry in its traditional sense, it is proficient at placing inventive, evocative language into pop melodies designed to be sung. Performances and stage. Swift playing a 6-string banjo on the Speak Now World Tour, left, pictured in 2012, and a piano on the Reputation Stadium Tour, right, 2018. Swift's concerts are equipped with elaborate settings incorporating elements from Broadway theater and high tech. She does not rely on elaborate choreography and instead emphasizes connecting emotionally with her audience through storytelling and vocal delivery. Since 2007, she has toured with the same live band. She plays 4 instruments: live guitar including electric, acoustic 6-string, and 12-string, 6-string banjo, piano, and ukulele. Critics have praised her stage presence, stamina, and ability to bring forth an intimate atmosphere for her audience even in stadium settings. Sasha Freer-Jones, in a 2008 article for The New Yorker, hailed her as a preternaturally skilled entertainer who exerted professionalism with a vibrant energy. In Time's 2023 Person of the Year piece, Sam Lansky wrote, "Swift is many things on stage, vulnerable and triumphant, playful and sad, but the intimacy of her songcraft is front and center." Videos and filmmaking. Swift emphasizes visuals as a key creative component of her music. She established her production company Taylor Swift Productions in 2008. Her directorial debut was the music video for Mine, co-directed with Roman White, in 2010, and she developed the concept and treatment for Mean in 2011. For the music videos of the 1989 and Reputation singles, she had an extensive collaboration with the director Joseph Kahn on 8 videos. Among them, she produced Bad Blood, which won Best Music Video at the Grammy Awards in 2016. She worked with American Express for the Blank Space music video, which Kahn directed, and served as executive producer for the interactive app Amex Unstitched. Taylor Swift Experience, for which she won a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Interactive Program in 2015. As of October 2025, Swift has directed 14 of her music videos. Her first solo directorial role was for The Man, which made her the first female artist to win the MTV Video Music Award for Best Direction. All Too Well, the short film marked her filmmaking debut, and it made her the first artist to win the Grammy Award for Best Music Video as a solo director. In June 2023, Swift was invited to the Academy of Motion Pictures. She has cited Joseph Kahn, Chloe Zhao, Greta Gerwig, Nora Ephron, Guillermo del Toro, John Cassavetes, and Noah Baumbach as filmmaking influences. Achievements. Further information. List of awards and nominations received by Taylor Swift. Swift with her Best Female Video trophy at the 2009 MTV Video Music Awards. Swift has won 14 Grammy Awards, including 4 Album of the Year wins, the most by an artist, 12 Country Music Association Awards, 8 Academy of Country Music Awards, 2 Brit Awards, and an Emmy Award. She is the most awarded artist of the American Music Awards, 40 wins, Billboard Music Awards 49, and MTV Video Music Awards 30, tied with Beyoncé. Swift is the first woman and second artist overall, after Garth Brooks, to be honored with the Pinnacle Award by the Country Music Association Awards in 2013, and the first woman to receive the Global Icon Award by the Brit Awards in 2021. At the 64th BMI Pop Awards in 2016, Swift became the first female songwriter to be honored with an award named after its recipient, the Taylor Swift Award. She is the youngest person to be featured on Rolling Stone's 2015 list, The 100 Greatest Songwriters of All Time, received the Songwriter Icon Award from the National Music Publishers Association in 2021, and was named the Songwriter Artist of the Decade by the Nashville Songwriters Association International in 2022. The International Federation of the Phonographic Industry honored her as the Global Recording Artist of the Year 5 times: 2014, 2019, 2022. 2023, 2024, more than any other artist. She is the most streamed artist on Spotify as of February 2024, and the highest grossing touring act of all time, with cumulative revenue at $3.12 billion as of December 2024. Her chart records include the most #1 albums in the UK and Ireland for a female artist in the 21st century, the first artist to occupy the top 5 of the Australian albums chart, doing so twice, and the top 10 positions on the Australian singles chart. The most entries, most simultaneous entries, and most #1 entries for a soloist on the Billboard Global 200, and the first artist to spend 100 weeks atop the Billboard Artist 100. In the U.S., Swift has sold 116.7 million album units, including 54 million pure sales, as of May 2025. She is the solo artist with the most weeks at #1 on the Billboard 200, the female artist with the most #1 albums on the Billboard 214, and most #1 debuts on the Billboard Hot 107. Tied with Ariana Grande, the artist with the most #1 songs on Pop Airplay, the first artist to chart 5 albums in the top 10 of the Billboard 200, the first woman to have both an album, Fearless, and a song, Shake It Off, received diamond certifications from the Recording Industry Association of America, RIA, and the first and only woman to have 100 million album units certified by the RIA. Billboard ranked her at #8 on its list Greatest of All Time Artists 2019, #2 on Greatest Pop Stars of the 21st Century 2024, and #1 on Top 100 Women Artists of the 21st Century and Top Artists of the 21st Century, both 2025. Swift has appeared in Power listings. In 2024, she became the first solo artist and second overall after Beyoncé and Jay-Z to top Billboard's annual Power 100 ranking of the top music industry executives. Time included her on its annual list of the 100 most influential people in 2010, 2015, and 2019. She was one of the silence breakers that the magazine spotlighted as Person of the Year in 2017 for speaking up about sexual assault. In 2023, she became the first person to be recognized as In 2023, she became the first person to be recognized as Time's Person of the Year for achievement in the arts, and the first woman to appear on a Person of the Year cover more than once. She received an honorary Doctor of Fine Arts degree from New York University and served as its commencement speaker on May 18, 2022. Public image. Main article. Public image of Taylor Swift. Swift at the 2010 Time 100 Gala. Swift is an enduring figure of 21st century popular culture. Her career trajectory from a country singer-songwriter to a pop star in the 2000s and 2010s was the subject of extensive commentary. Deemed America's sweetheart in her early career, she was described in the press as a media darling with a girl next door's polite demeanor and open-hearted conversations. Swift displayed a feminine image but refrained from the aggressively sexualized feminist pop of her contemporaries, leading publications to comment that her sex appeal was modest, subtle, and sophisticated. The adolescent themes of Swift's music contributed to her status as a teen idol, although several feminist authors took issue with her songs about romantic relationships as narrow-minded and detrimental to girls and women, who made up the majority of her fanbase known as Swifties. Upon recalibrating her artistry to pop music, Swift has identified as a feminist and achieved a pop icon status. In 2013, the author Jody Rosen labeled Swift the Queen of Pop, citing her popularity that defied traditional boundaries between genres, eras, demographics, paradigms, trends. Her feminist public image garnered varying reactions from the public, including praise that regarded her success in a male-dominated music industry as an inspiration for girls and women, and criticism that dismissed her feminist adoption as superficial and self-interested. The 2016 dispute with Kanye West bolstered the narrative by her detractors that she was a calculating and manipulative woman despite her sweetheart image, and deepened their feud that has resonated in their respective careers. Her artistic reinventions in the 2020s turned her into an acclaimed singer-songwriter. Buoyed by her enduring pop stardom, she has been recognized as a rare phenomenon that combines the pop star and singer-songwriter archetypes with unprecedented success. Swift is a known triskaidekaphile known for using the number 13 in her various works. Legacy. Main article. Cultural impact of Taylor Swift. Wax figure of Swift at Madame Tussauds, Sydney. Swift is one of the few artists who consistently sells millions of albums throughout 2 decades of artistic reinventions despite the industry decline of record sales after the album era had ended. In this regard, academics and journalists have described her as the last pop superstar, and the last great rock star, of the 21st century. Her commercial strategies to bolster sales of albums and concert tickets have earned her a reputation as a savvy businesswoman. The economist Alan Kruger described Swift as an economic genius. Strategies such as enhanced material for physical album variants and Easter egg usage in her works became indicative of music marketing trends. Swift's success in country music has been credited with popularizing the genre beyond the U.S. and introducing it to adolescent women, a previously ignored demographic. The critic Kelufa Sane dubbed Swift the biggest country star since Garth Brooks, and maybe since before him too. Her guitar performances resulted in increasing sales of guitars to women, which the media dubbed the Taylor Swift factor. Her transition from country to pop has been credited as the catalyst for poptimism, and her songwriting and musical transitions have been credited with influencing a new generation of artists. According to Billboard, Swift is one of the few artists who could achieve chart success, critical acclaim, and fan support at the same time, and she has the ability to popularize any sound in mainstream music. Swift's enduring popularity, particularly to female audiences, contributed to her status as a representation of millennials, or more broadly, her generation's zeitgeist. Her fandom of Swifties has been described by journalists and academics as one of the most loyal and dedicated. In the views of Time's Katie Lang, she maintained her superstardom by her savvy manipulation of both the industry and her personal brand. According to the popular culture scholars Mary Fogarty and Gina Arnold, Swift is arguably the singular artist whose story encapsulates many of the urgent conflicts in early 21st century American culture. In a 2024 article for the New York Times, Joe Coscarelli wrote that her lasting popularity provoked debates that compared her not only to contemporaries like Drake or Beyoncé, but also to veteran artists like the Beatles, Michael Jackson, Elton John, or Madonna. Swift's advocacy for artists' rights and re-recording projects have contributed to industry-wide discourses and reforms. Her artistry and career maneuvers have been the subject of various university courses in literary, cultural, and sociopolitical contexts. According to the popular culture scholars Sarai Brinker, Kate Galloway, and Elizabeth Scala, Swift's legacy has been both embraced and critiqued by different affiliations, feminist and queer communities, far-right groups and religious organizations, and studied by experts in various fields: musicology, literature, sociology, media theory, linguistics, and culture studies. Wealth and other activities. Through her management company Taz Rights Management, LLC, Swift has filed over 300 trademark applications in the U.S. and holds more than 400 registrations worldwide as of August 2025. Her filings include her name Taylor Swift, her fanbase name Swifties, album cover art and titles, tour names, lyrics, slogans, and her cat's names. Swift was listed by Forbes as the world's highest-paid musician in 2016 and 2019, the highest-paid female musician of the 2010s decade, and the highest-paid female musician of 2021 and 2022. By October 2023, as reported by both Forbes and Bloomberg LP, Swift achieved her billionaire status. She was recognized as the first billionaire primarily based on her songs and performances, with the majority of her fortune coming from royalties and touring. As of June 2025, her estimated net worth by Forbes stands at $1.6 billion, making her the richest female musician in the world. Her real estate portfolio, estimated by Forbes at $110 million as of 2025, consists of residential properties in Nashville, New York City, Los Angeles, Samuel Goldwyn Estate, and Rhode Island High Watch. Swift's private jet use has drawn scrutiny for its carbon emissions. In 2023, a spokesperson for Swift stated that she had purchased more than double the required carbon credits to offset all tour travel and personal flights. In December 2023, Swift's lawyers sent a cease and desist letter to the American programmer Jack Sweeney over tracking her private jet, alleging stalking and safety risks. Media outlets have reported that the information posted by Sweeney is a synthesis of publicly available data. In February 2024, it was reported that Swift had sold one of her 2 private jets. Endorsements and partnerships. Swift in a promotional video for Keds in 2015. Swift's album rollouts normally consist of multimedia promotional activities that encompass corporate tie-ins and product endorsements. Target is a long-standing business partner with Swift, offering exclusive physical albums and merchandise. In 2008-2011, her albums and tours were promoted with self-designed dolls with Jackass Pacific, fragrances with Elizabeth Arden, clothes with LEI, and holiday cards with American Greetings. Her partnership deals included makeup products for CoverGirl and CyberShot cameras for Sony Electronics. In 2012-2015, she had tie-ins with Starbucks, Keds, Subway, Diet Coke, Walgreens, Walmart, and Papa John's. In 2014, New York City named Swift its official tourism ambassador. She had an exclusive streaming deal with Apple Music in 2015, signed a multi-year deal with AT&T in 2016, and partnered with United Parcel Service to distribute her albums in 2017. In 2019, she signed a multi-year deal with Capital One and launched a clothing line with Stella McCartney. She became the first global ambassador for Record Store Day in 2022. Social activism. Further information. Political impact of Taylor Swift. Swift avoided discussing politics in her early career. In an interview with Time in 2012, she said that she kept herself as educated as possible, but did not want to influence other people with her political opinions. Due to her apolitical stance, she was appropriated by the alt-right movement in the U.S., which sparked controversy. She did express support for President Barack Obama in 2008. "I've never seen this country so happy about a political decision in my entire time of being alive." Since 2018, Swift has been public about her political views and abandoned her once apolitical stance. She publicly endorsed two Democratic politicians for the 2018 U.S. midterm election, which resulted in headlines about how she finally dissociated herself from the alt-right and conservatives. In interviews, she attributed her political reluctance in the past to the 2003 Dixie Chicks controversy, which left a lasting impact on country musicians at large and female country musicians in particular. She has openly criticized President Donald Trump. In 2020, Swift urged her fans to check their voter registration ahead of elections, which resulted in 65,000 people registering to vote within one day of her post, and endorsed the Democratic ticket of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the 2020 U.S. presidential election. For the 2024 election, she once again endorsed the Democratic ticket of Harris and Tim Walz. A pro-choice feminist, Swift is a founding signatory of the Time's Up movement against sexual harassment, and she criticized the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to end federal abortion rights in 2022. A supporter of LGBTQ rights, she has donated to the LGBT organizations Tennessee Equality Project and GLAAD. In 2019, she called for the passing of the Equality Act and performed during World Pride NYC 2019 at the Stonewall Inn, a gay rights monument. Swift has spoken up against white supremacy, racism, and police brutality in the U.S. She has supported the March for Our Lives movement and gun control reform in the U.S., donated to the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund and the Black Lives Matter movement, called for the removal of Confederate monuments in Tennessee, and advocated for Juneteenth to become a national holiday. Swift's political engagements have been met with mixed reception. They have provoked further public discussions on political issues and empowered Swifties, but critics have questioned whether her political alignments were strategic in her career. While some publications have argued that Swift's stardom had a significant impact on political involvements in the U.S., others have viewed her influence as sizable but overstated. According to the popular culture scholar Simone Driessen, her political impact reached beyond the U.S. to Australia and Europe. Philanthropy. Swift ranked first on Do Some Things 2015 Gone Good list, having received the Star of Compassion from the Tennessee Disaster Services and the Big Help Award from the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards for her dedication to helping others and inspiring others through action. Especially early in her career, Swift donated to various relief funds following natural disasters. In 2009, she donated $100,000 to the Red Cross to help the victims of the Iowa flood of 2008. The same year, she performed at Sydney's Sound Relief Concert, which raised money for those impacted by bushfires and flooding. In 2011, Swift used a dress rehearsal of her Speak Now tour as a benefit concert for victims of recent tornadoes in the U.S., raising more than $750,000. In response to the May 2010 Tennessee floods, she donated $500,000. In 2009, Swift sang at the BBC's Children in Need concert and raised £13,000 for the cause. In 2016, she donated $1 million to Louisiana flood relief efforts and $100,000 to the Dolly Parton Fire Fund. Swift donated to food banks after Hurricane Harvey struck Houston in 2017. Swift donated $1 million for Tennessee tornado relief in 2020 and again in 2023, as well as $5 million toward the relief efforts after Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton in 2024. Swift has also donated to cancer research. As the recipient of the Academy of Country Music's Entertainer of the Year in 2011, Swift donated $25,000 to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, Tennessee. In 2012, she participated in the Stand Up to Cancer telethon performing the charity single Ronin, which she wrote in memory of a 4-year-old boy who died of neuroblastoma. She has also donated $100,000 to the V Foundation for Cancer Research and $50,000 to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. She has made donations to her fans several times for their medical or academic expenses. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Swift donated to the World Health Organization and Feeding America and supported independent record stores. Swift performed Soon You'll Get Better on the Swift performed Soon You'll Get Better on the One World Together at Home television special, a benefit concert curated by Lady Gaga for Global Citizen to raise funds for the World Health Organization's COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund. She is a supporter of the arts. A benefactor of the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame, Swift has donated $75,000 to Hendersonville High School to help refurbish the school auditorium, $4 million to build a new education center at the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum in Nashville, and $100,000 to the Nashville Symphony. In 2012, Swift partnered with Chegg for Good to donate $10,000 to the music departments of 6 U.S. colleges. She has also provided one-off donations. In 2007, she partnered with the Tennessee Association of Chiefs of Police to launch a campaign to protect children from online predators. She has donated items to several charities for auction, including the UNICEF TAP Project and MusiCares. Swift has also encouraged young people to volunteer in their local communities as part of Global Youth Service Day. Also a promoter of children's literacy, she has donated money and books to schools around the country. In 2018 and 2021, Swift donated to the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network in honor of Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. Swift donated to fellow singer-songwriter Kesha to help with her legal battles against Dr. Luke, and to actress Mariska Hargitay's Joyful Heart Foundation. During the Eras Tour, Swift donated to food banks in Florida, Arizona, and Las Vegas. She also employed local businesses throughout the tour and gave $197 million in bonus payments to her entire crew. In February 2024, she donated $100,000 to the family of a woman who died in a shooting at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade. In December 2024, a week before Christmas, Swift donated $250,000 to Operation Breakthrough. The funds were directed to workforce development, child care, and early learning programs. Duncan Brannan was born on June 25, 1970 in Fort Worth, Texas, USA as Duncan Ray Brannan. He is an actor known for voicing Barney the Dinosaur 1998 to 2002, Chuck E. Cheese 1993 to 2012, and multiple characters with Funimation including Samurai 7, Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, Attack on Titan, Case Closed, Dragonaut, and a host of others. He has also voiced many commercials and industrial videos over the years. He has been married to Rallana Lynn Gregg since January 2, 1993. They have 2 daughters. Taylor Allison Swift is a multi-Grammy Award-winning American singer/songwriter who in 2010 at the age of 20 became the youngest artist in history to win the Grammy Award for Album of the Year. In 2011, Swift was named Billboard's Woman Taylor Allison Swift is a multi-Grammy Award-winning American singer/songwriter who in 2010 at the age of 20 became the youngest artist in history to win the Grammy Award for Album of the Year. In 2011, Swift was named Billboard's Woman of the Year. She also has been named the American Music Awards Artist of the Year, as well as the Entertainer of the Year for both the country music, among many other accolades. As of this writing, she is also the top-selling digital artist in music history. Taylor Allison Swift was born on December 13, 1989 in Reading, Pennsylvania to Andrea Finley, a one-time marketing executive, and Scott Kingsley Swift, a financial advisor. Her ancestry includes German and English, as well as some Scottish, Irish, Welsh, and 1/16 Beltalian. She was named after James Taylor, and her mother believed that if she had a gender-neutral name it would help her forge a business career. Taylor spent most of her childhood on an 11-acre Christmas tree farm in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. When she was 9 years old, the family moved to Wyomissing, PA, where she attended West Reading Elementary Center and Wyomissing Area Junior/Senior High School. Taylor spent her summers at her parents' vacation home at the Jersey Store. Her first hobby was English horse riding. Her mother put her in a saddle when she was 9 months old, and Swift later competed in horse shows. At the age of 9, she turned her attention to musical theater and performed in Burke's Bye Bye Birdie and The Sound of Music. She traveled regularly to New York City for vocal and acting lessons. However, after a few years of auditioning in New York and not getting anything, she became interested in country music. At age 11, after many attempts, Taylor won a local talent competition by singing a rendition of LeAnn Rimes' Big Deal, and was given the opportunity to appear as the opening act for Charlie Daniels at a Strausstown amphitheater. This interest in country music isolated Swift from her middle school peers. At age 12, she was shown by a computer repairman how to play 3 chords on a guitar, inspiring her to write her first song, Lucky You. She had previously won a national poetry contest with a poem entitled Monster in My Closet, but now began to focus on songwriting. She moved to Nashville at age 14, having secured an artist development deal with RCA Records. She left RCA Records when she was 15 minus the label wanted her to record the work of other songwriters and wait until she was 18 to release an album, but she felt ready to launch her career with her own material. At an industry showcase at Nashville's The Bluebird Cafe in 2005, Swift caught the attention of Scott Borchetta, a DreamWorks Records executive who was preparing to form his own independent record label, Big Machine Records. Taylor was one of the new label's first signings. Taylor released her debut album, Taylor Swift, in October of 2006 and received generally positive reviews from music critics. The New York Times described it as a small masterpiece of pop-minded country, both wide-eyed and cynical, held together by Miss Swift's firm, pleading voice. Her single Our Song made her the youngest solo writer and singer of a #1 country song. The album sold 39,000 copies during its first week. In 2008, she released her second studio album, Fearless. The lead single from the album, Love Story, was released in September 2008 and became the second best-selling country single of all time, peaking at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. 4 more singles were released throughout 2008 and 2009, White Horse, You Belong With Me, 15, and Fearless. You Belong With Me was the album's highest charting single, peaking at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. The album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 album chart. It was the top-selling album of 2009 and brought Swift much crossover success. In September 2009, she became the first country music artist to win an MTV Video Music Award when You Belong With Me was named Best Female Video. Her acceptance speech was interrupted by rapper Ye, who had been involved in a number of other award show incidents. West declared Beyoncé video for Single Ladies, put a ring on it, nominated in the same category to be one of the best videos of all time. When Beyoncé later won the award for Video of the Year, she invited Taylor on stage to finish her speech. In November 2009, Taylor Swift became the youngest ever artist, and one of only 6 women to be named Entertainer of the Year by the Country Music Association. She released her third studio album in October 2010, Speak Now, and wrote all songs herself. She originally intended to call the album Enchanted, but Scott Borchetta, her record label CEO, felt the title did not reflect the album's more adult themes. Swift toured throughout 2011 and early 2012 in support of Speak Now. As part of the 13-month 111-date world tour, Swift played 7 shows in Asia, 12 in Europe, 80 in North America, and 12 in Australia. 3 dates on the US tour were rescheduled after she fell ill with bronchitis. The stage show was choreographed routines, elaborate set pieces, pyrotechnics, and numerous costume changes. Swift invited many musicians to join her for one-off duets during the North American tour. Appearances are made by James Taylor, Jason Mraz, Sean Colvin, Johnny Resnick, Andy Grammer, Tal Bachman, Justin Bieber, Selena Gomez, Nicki Minaj, Nelly, B.O.B. Usher, Flo Rida, Tip T.I. Harris, John Foreman, Jim Atkins, Hayley Williams, Hot Chell Ray, Ronnie Dunn, Darius Rucker, Tim McGraw, and Kenny Chesney. In May 2012, Taylor featured in B.O.B.'s song Both of Us. Swift's fourth studio album, Red, was released on October 22, 2012. She wrote 9 of the album's 16 songs alone. The remaining 7 were co-written with Max Martin, Liz Rose, Dan Wilson, Ed Sheeran, and Gary Lightbody. Nathan Chapman served as the album's lead producer, but Jeff Bosker, Butch Walker, Jackknife Lee, Dan Huff, and Shellback, aka Shellback, also produced individual tracks. Chapman has said he encouraged Swift to branch out and to test here in other situations. She has described the collaboration process as an apprenticeship that taught her to paint with different colors. Red examines Swift's attraction to drama-filled relationships. She believes that since writing the record, such relationships no longer appeal to her. Musically, while there is some experimentation with slip, electronic beats, the pop sheen is limited to a handful of tracks sprinkled among more recognizably Swiftian fare. Rolling Stone enjoyed watching Swift find her pony footing on great songwriter mountain. She often succeeds in joining the Joni/Carole King tradition of stark relief emotional mapping. Her self-discovery project is one of the best stories in pop. The Guardian described Swift as a Brunhild of a rock star and characterized Red as another chapter in one of the finest fantasies pop music has ever constructed. USA Today felt that the engaging record saw Swift write ever more convincingly and wittily and painfully about the messy emotions of a young 20-something nearing the end of her transition from girl to woman. The Los Angeles Times noted the exploration of more nuanced relationship issues on an unapologetically big pop record that opens new sonic vistas for her. As part of the Red promotional campaign, representatives from 72 worldwide radio stations were flown to Nashville during release week for individual interviews with Swift. She made television appearances on The Ellen DeGeneres Show 2003, Good Morning America 1975, The View 1997, Late Show with David Letterman 1992, ABC News Nightline 1979, and All Access Nashville with Katie Couric 2012. She performed at Los Angeles MTV VMAs and London's Teen Awards, Frankfurt's MTV Europe Music Awards, Los Angeles AMA Awards, and Sydney's ARIA Music Awards, Los Angeles AMA Awards, and Sydney's ARIA Music Awards. Swift offered exclusive album promotions through Target, Papa John's, and Walgreens. She became a spokesmodel for Ked Sneakers, released her sophomore Elizabeth Arden fragrance, and continued her partnerships with CoverGirl, Sony Electronics, and American Greetings, as well as her unofficial brand tie-ins with Ralph Lauren and Shelley's. The album's lead single, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, was released in August 2012. The song became Swift's first #1 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 chart, recording the highest ever one-week sales figures for a female artist. 2 further singles have since been released, Begin Again Country Radio and I Knew You Were Trouble Pop and international radio in her career. As of May 2012, Swift has sold 23 million albums and 54.5 million digital tracks worldwide. Taylor Swift is only beginning to emerge as an acting talent, having voiced the role of Audrey in the animated feature The Lorax 2012. She also made appearances in the theatrical release Valentine's Day 2010 and in an episode of CSI Crime Scene Investigation 2000. She contributed 2 original songs to the Hunger Games 2012 soundtrack, Safe and Sound, featuring the Civil Wars and Eyes Open. Taylor released her 5th album, titled 1989 Inches, on October 27, 2014. This album is when she finally made the complete transition from country to pop. She says that she will not be going to any country music award shows. The album is named after the year she was born, and is a sort of 80s-sounding album, in the sense that it's more electronic. In March 2015, she began dating Scottish disc jockey Calvin Harris, after having met at the Brit Awards in February. They were together for 13 months.